3.
Once in a castle far away, a princess lived. Known all over the land, she could have everything she could ever ask for, all the riches and all the kingdoms, all the men falling for her. But there was one thing she didn't have, a prince from another castle far away. She loved him so much, and one day he rided into the town, and they met, they talked, and they enjoyed each other. The princess said, "Oh, Romeo, I love you so much. Let's run away together. Let's be together forever, on our own, and rule our own kingdom." And the prince said, "I'm sorry, madam, but I cannot. I will once rule my own kingdom, and I need to be there for them. And I just do not feel the same way. I'm sorry." And he runs off back to his own castle. The princess, so heartbroken and so sad, she cries herself at night, and she wishes upon her fairy. "Oh, fairy, I have everything I could ever ask for. But that prince, he's so charming and lovable. He's everything I could ever want, but he doesn't love me. Could you grant a wish to make him fall in love with me?" The fairy says, "I'm sorry, princess, but I cannot. I cannot grant that wish." The princess, in anger, shouts at the fairy, "I hate you! You can't do anything for me. I banish you from this castle. Leave now!" The fairy leaves. A few days later, the princess sitting alone in her room, crying, a demon arises at her patio. The princess in terror says, Who are you?" The demon says, "I am from hell. I have been watching you for some time." She says, "What do you want from me?" "I've noticed that you want a wish. How do you know?" "As I said, I've been following you, watching you over all these years of you growing up, and I have come to grant that wish." But don't argue. I have come to grant it, and it shall be done." The princess, all she wanting was the prince. She agrees, not knowing the consequences. The demon disappears, and then the prince, a day later, rides into her kingdom as fast as he can, into her room, declaring his love for her. "Oh, Juliet, I love you so much. I didn't know what I was thinking back then. I'm so sorry. Take me back, please. We can get married and go off wherever we want and live forever together." And they do. Happily together for 20 years. And then that year, the demon arises back. But what are you doing here? You already granted my wish." "That I did," the demon says. "But you have to pay a price." What price is that?" the princess said. "Your soul." But you didn't tell me this." "That's of course, because I knew if I did, you would say no. And now I have come for your soul." The prince, in a heroic act, jumps at the demon and smacks him down. The princess failed, and the demon says, "And in that, I have decided to turn your prince into a giant monster, come to destroy your entire town, and that is for not giving me your soul. So now I will destroy everything and everyone you love." So the giant monster starts destroying the castle, setting everything on fire, destroying everything in its path. The princess, in fear, flees to her room, crying, all out of hope, waiting for her final moments of life. The fairy returns. "But fairy, what are you doing here?" the princess says. The fairy says, "I have come to help you. Now I know what you did and I know what you said, but it's okay. I kept a promise to keep you safe all these years, and I've come back to help." And the fairy launches a fairy spell at the giant, knocking him down and defeating him. Now the demon comes back into normal form, meeting her at the castle. But how did you do this? No one is strong enough or able to defeat my giant. How did you do this? The fairy says, because you are weak and pitiful, and I despise you. And the demon screeches out in terror and blasts away into fairy dust and crumbles. The princess, glad that she is safe, but also sad, because of her Romeo is gone. But she looks over at the giant, and she sees the prince arise. But how? I thought you were gone. She looks at the fairy. Did you do this? No, I did not. I told you I cannot grant those wishes. That was all him. His heroic act of saving you granted him back. But don't argue. Just you two live happily ever after. And they did.